Satellite technology has taken giant leaps forward in recent years. Today, we can see Earth from space more sharply than ever, and satellite images of various kinds are available to more people than ever, often for free. Anyone connected to the internet today can study faraway places, like a mysterious island in the Indian Ocean known for its unique rainforest species called Madagascar. This huge island, about twice as large as Finland, is home to more than 20 million people. Madagascar is one of the poorest countries in the world. 9 out of 10 of its citizens live on less than $2 a day. Its rainforests, however, host a wealth of species of immeasurable value to us all. About 80% of Madagascar's animal and plant species can only be found here, and many of its forests are on UNESCO's World Natural Heritage List. But in recent decades, Madagascar's forests have been shrinking alarmingly. With the population growing rapidly, there's an urgent need for farmland. People still practice slash-and-burn agriculture, repeatedly clearing forests to create new fields. Mining is also expanding, and there's plenty of demand for valuable timber and other resources. Estimates of the rate of forest loss vary greatly depending on how deforestation is measured, but the gravity of the situation is indisputable. During his lifetime, Nasovian Christine, president and founder of the forest protection NGO Mitsinjo, has seen thousands of hectares of forest turned into wasteland or scrubland around Andasibe, his home village in eastern Madagascar.
When I compare between now and around 40 years ago, when I was a small boy child, that is very different. My area here is when we move just a little bit not far from here, like when you will go in Ramsar site in Turturfutsi, around here, like in near of Reforestation on the main road National Street, all this covered forest before when I was a small boy.
This story of vanishing forests is sadly familiar from around the world. But here in Madagascar, the global consequences of forest loss are particularly severe.
In fact, it is very difficult to compare Madagascar to other countries because of its biodiversity. When you are talking about, for example, loss of 1 hectare, maybe in 1 hectare you can have several to really 100 species. But in other countries, perhaps in 1 hectare, we have just 1 species.
The forests of Madagascar are home to about 5% of the world's known animal species. There are nearly as many plant species here as on the entire continent of Europe. Madagascar's fauna includes hundreds of endemic frog species, about half of the world's chameleons, and many more unique reptiles and mammals, not to mention about 100,000 species of insects and other invertebrates. Madagascar's most emblematic animals are lemurs. More than 100 species live only here, and none are found anywhere else in the world. But most of Madagascar's lemurs are today endangered. The loss of rainforests speeds up global climate change, which makes them an important bargaining chip in international climate negotiations. Countries like Madagascar could significantly benefit from global climate policies. International funding could help them to restore their forests and at the same time improve the welfare of their people. One such mechanism is the RED program, which stands for Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation. Researcher Harifidi Ratsimba belongs to Madagascar's National RED Committee. But many obstacles must be overcome before Madagascar can take advantage of such opportunities.
The challenge is to create a good map and also to have a regular update of these good maps. That means, for example, let's say every 3 years or every 5 years, because this update will allow you to have an idea of the changes. Where really do we have changes of forest?
This is where a Finnish-Russian team has stepped in to share their experiences with forest experts in Madagascar. Mapping methods previously developed by the Finnish Association for Nature Conservation for surveying forests in northwest Russia use modern satellite technologies combined with old-fashioned field surveys. Similar methods are now being applied where reforestation schemes are planned in Madagascar. The staff of local Malgashi NGOs might only have slow internet connections, but they have plenty of expertise on local species. This surveying method facilitates the monitoring of reforestation in the long run, which has often been problematic for reforestation projects in Madagascar.
Jos ajattelemme nyt vaikka näitä ilmastonsuojeluhankkeita, RED+, hiilikauppaa ja niin edespäin, niin siinä aivan keskeisenä on monitorointi sen jälkeen, mitä toimiala on tehty. Eli jos ollaan metsistetty jotain aluetta tai suojeltu joku alue, niin se ei pelkästään riitä. Niiden vaikutusten pysyvyyttä pitäisi pystyä seuraamaan. Ja siinä luontevinta on se, että meillä on paikalliset ryhmät, joilla on riittävän hyvä koulutus siihen, että pystyvät sen tekemään. Ja toisaalta se, että se metodi on niin yksinkertainen, mutta luotettava, että siitä on oikeasti vedettävissä johtopäätöksiä.
The Finnish Association for Nature Conservation launched the Manonjuala project, which combines reforestation and forest monitoring, in 2011 with financial support from Finland's Ministry for Foreign Affairs. The local partner organization in Madagascar is an NGO with many years of experience of reforestation in a severely fragmented forest area east of the capital, Antananarivo. As many as 150 local tree species are grown in Mitsinjo's tree nursery. The Manonjuala project aims to plant at least 27,000 seedlings each year, adding up to more than 80,000 trees over 3 years.
La première, il faut s'agir il faut préparer les substrats. Nous avons besoin des humus, des sols et des sables et des vames. Les vames sont les champignons qui font la symbiotique avec les plantes. Les champignons qui donnent des nourris pour les plantes qui donnent des nourris pour les champignons. Ça, c'est les symbiotiques. Ça, c'est une grande caméléon dans cette voie. Il s'appelle Kalma Parsoni. Nous sommes travaillés avec les animaux, par exemple cette caméléon, parce que nous n'utilisons pas d'insecticides. Donc il faut travailler avec les caméléons pour manger les insectes qui détruisent les plantes. Ça c'est les processus écologiques de la restauration.
The remaining patches of natural forest serve as the last refuges for many animal and plant species. When animals of a species live trapped in just a small fragment of forest, their population becomes genetically impoverished. This makes it hard for them to recover from diseases or cope with the impacts of human activity. For this reason, Mitsinjo particularly tries to restore ecological corridors connected to surviving patches of more natural forest. Forest corridors help animals like this diadem tsifaka, which lives in the project area and is one of Madagascar's most endangered lemurs. As the lemurs thrive, the surrounding forests will also benefit, since they spread the seeds of rainforest trees in their droppings. In addition to planting and growing native tree seedlings, another important part of restoration work is to eradicate alien tree species.
Ça, c'est les eucalyptus. Les eucalyptus, c'est des plantes, c'est pas endémique à Madagascar, ils viennent d'Australie. Ça, c'est un grand problème pour la restauration, même pour la forêt naturelle, parce que il est disséminé par les vents. Donc si on a planté un eucalyptus dans les montagnes, c'est voir beaucoup de surfaces occupées par les eucalyptus. Les eucalyptus aussi, c'est une espèce très croissance rapide. Donc, s'il y a des autres espèces poussées autour des eucalyptus, c'est pas possibilité pour faire grandir.
Out in the forest, the expert Nitsinjo mappers note many observations. Can signs of logging be seen in the forests? What kind of animals and plants live there? How many alien species are present, and how thick are the trees? All this information is then fed into a database which can be analyzed together with satellite images. The idea is, ultimately, to make a comprehensive and detailed map of the belt of rainforests running down eastern Madagascar.
On était 3 dans une groupe et il y a quelqu'un qui prend le GPS pour avoir les coordonnées et les 2 qui vont mettre les placettes dans le 10 mètres carrés pour mesurer et après on fait savoir quelques différentes espèces de bois dans les 10 mètres carrés et comme ça après l'image satellite il englobe tous les mêmes forêts qu'on a fait parce que c'est juste échantillon comme un échantillon dans le 10 mètres carrés et après les images satellites ils regroupent les mêmes forêts et en même catégorie qu'avec le plot qu'on a fait. Ça nous aide beaucoup parce qu'après la carte, on peut savoir dans cet endroit-là, c'est la zone protégée et cet endroit est complètement dégradé. Donc il faut faire quelque chose comme restauration et reboisement. Et cet endroit, il y a encore des populations des lémuriens, par exemple.
In Russia, similar cooperation on mapping in recent years has greatly helped local organizations in their dealings with the authorities. In Madagascar, the Finnish Association for Nature Conservation is also keen to strengthen local civil society. This supports democracy, but it also enables the authorities to work together with local NGOs and benefit from their improved expertise when it comes to monitoring forests, which can be very challenging with very limited resources available.
Tällainen seurantamenetelmä, jossa paikallisyhteisöt voivat seurata heidän omia metsiään yksinkertaisin menetelmin, ei sinänsä korvaa metsähallintoa, mutta se voisi tukea sitä monessa maassa. Ja jos tämä menetelmä toimii, niin tämä voisi toimia mallina myös monille muille köyhille maille. Esimerkiksi Afrikassa, missä on metsähallinnolla suuria vaikeuksia torjua metsäpaloja ja laittomia hakkuita. And now computer analyze and computer find all same forest in the map. Not only here, but also here. And now we must find the explanation to this. And
the need for people to coexist sustainably with natural forests is a crucial issue today. Answers are being sought both at local level and in major international conferences. It's difficult to get people to abandon slash-and-burn culture, for instance, without giving them opportunities to adopt new farming methods or livelihoods.
When you are talking about the sustainability of forest or sustainability of forest management, it is always difficult because most of the time the people are just saying yes, it is good to protect forest, but what to do? Because you are saying us to have some sustainability, but sustainability means let's say 10 years after today, or 20 or 50 years or 100 years, but for themselves they are just looking for eating today and tomorrow. So there is always this gap between the how is the interest of people. One of the challenge of RED for me is just how really can you create incentives for local communities. If these local communities didn't really get more incentives from forest management, they will always do the same.
Mitsinjo provides training for local people in more sustainable agroforestry methods that can replace slash-and-burn agriculture. The association also works to provide alternative livelihoods in ecotourism and cooperates with schools on environmental education. Poverty makes it hard to meet both today's needs and tomorrow's. But the president of Mitsinjo is sure that this new mapping and monitoring method represents a significant step in the right direction. Forests in Madagascar and many other parts of the world are a vital precondition for human survival. Without them, the groundwater will disappear, erosion will wash the soil away, and the climate will become unpredictable, making agriculture impossible.
Sometimes when I think on future my land forestier, sometimes I am sad. But sometimes I believe and I hope so, because like people can change. Change means begin and understand the importance of a forest. When you have more money, we can continue more area to planting the tree. But when you don't have money, maybe 1 hectare, 2 hectares, maybe half hectare. But it's good condition, very good condition and good control and good planting. And the tree on the areas would grow and they don't die. Important. If we continue that after 50, how many hectares per year? And cover a forest. That is a long vision.